Okay, now in the previous Osiris Android video, we showed you how to run the app for the first time and set up your Osiris, Trident, or Poseidon unit with the app. Today we're just going to give you a tutorial of how to use the app like normal. So we run the app and see what's going on. Okay, now we see we've got a possible water leak. The app will also show you if you've got a freezing pipe or an excessively hot pipe. It shows us which of our units has the problem. Now this could be a Trident, an Osiris, or a Poseidon. We have a green phone icon on the left if we want to call a plumber. We have a valve icon on the right if we want to shut off our water remotely before damage occurs. We can also notify our emergency contacts whether we are unable to get the alert, whether we can get it, we can cancel the alert, or we can say more info. Let's go ahead and say more info. Now we can see what the water flow was like leading up to the leak. If this was a pipe freeze alert or a hot pipe, we would see our pipe temperature leading up to the event. We can also see a box with suggestions for how to resolve the problem, and we can go back to who is responding. Let's go ahead and say we want to call a plumber. We click that, and we see a list of good plumbers in our area that we recommend. This is just a convenience feature. You're certainly welcome to use your own plumber, but this will just put you in touch with a good plumber quickly. And so you just touch your finger on them and drop them, and then you can call them and just press call or cancel. We say done to go back to the alarm. Let's say we want to shut off our water remotely. If we have paired this Osiris with a Trident smart valve, we can shut off our water remotely. Now you simply click the valve and then turn the valve off. Now within about 15 to 30 seconds, Trident will have shut off water to our home, and then it'll prevent water flow that'll cause damage. Now this is just an example. We don't really need to shut off water to the house. Let's go ahead and turn it back on, but you can see how that works. Now we go back to the alarm. Let's let our emergency contacts know that we're getting it. Now they are notified by email and in the app that we are getting the alarm, and they don't need to. We can also cancel the alarm. And again, our contacts are notified by email and in the app that we've canceled the alarm. If you ever want to see the latest data in the app, simply minimize the app and maximize it, and you're looking at the latest data from the server. Now we're on our status page, and we can see our weather forecast where our unit is. This is very useful, for example, if it's warm and sunny where we are, but our unit is hundreds of miles away at our winter cabin, and our cabin's getting a pipe freeze alert. We can see what the weather's like where our unit is. We can also see our status. There's no alarm. The current pipe temperature is 75 degrees, on the pipe that Osiris is mounted on. The smart valve is on, so we're allowing water flow into the home. The alarm is armed, and then we can see that we're using less water than we have in the last week. So this is just letting you know if you're using more or less water than you normally do. If you have an Osiris or a Poseidon, you can view your complete water usage history. Now, you can view your history by day, week, month, and year for the entire history of since you've plugged in your unit. You can go back to previous days. Now, this is just a test unit that we move around to various locations, so it doesn't have complete history, but you'll have your complete history, hour by hour since you plugged in your unit. You can click current minutes, and you can change this from a line chart to a bar chart. You can also see what the weather was like that day. You can also go to your week view, and you can see, how you were using water that week. You can click, you can go left to previous weeks or right to the next week. Now, again, this is just a test unit, but you can click current minutes. Now you're viewing your water usage compared to your water usage last week. So let's look at where we've got a complete week. So we've got our current week in blue and our previous week in purple, and this just lets you see if you're using more or less water than you did on the same day, last week. So we're using a little more water than we did last Saturday, but much less water than we did, the previous Tuesday. And this just lets you know, what your trends are. You can also change the weather information between humidity and the high and low temperature, and this just shows you how weather affects your water usage. Now, month works just like week. You can do current versus progress, temperature versus humidity. You can go to previous months. You can go forward to the next month, and you can click on any of the day bars to go to that day. And you can do that for week as well. Click on a day bar and go to that day. And year works the same as month. You can go back to the previous year, see current versus progress. You can see your temperature and humidity, and click on a month. Now, let's say, for example, that you're filling up your swimming pool. It's going to take many hours and you don't want a water alarm. You can temporarily mute your water and pipe temperature alarms in the mute page. So you can, let's say we want to mute our alarm. We enter a time in minutes, hours, or days, and then click mute. All right, now for the next minute, we're not going to get any water alarms from this Osiris, as well as any pipe temperature alarms. So what you'll see is you'll see the orange wheel fill in as the mute period expires, and then once it's expired, it'll say unmuted. During the mute, you can go to your status page and see that your alarm is muted. Now this is a dummy example. We don't need to be muted. Let's go ahead and end it. Okay, now we've ended the mute and we see the bar is filled in, the wheel is filled in with orange, and we're unmuted. So basically, once we're done filling in our swimming pool, you can just unmute it and you're back to getting alarms. Now we can also, with Osiris and Poseidon, we can set a monthly goal to conserve water and save money. So the current month is March. We can see in the light blue how much we've used this month. We can set our goal by moving the dot around. And once we've set our goal, let's say that we're setting it to below what we've already used, the app will wait a few seconds and update your goal on the server. Okay, it's updated our goal, and now our goal has gone red, because basically this month we have not met our goal. We're using more water than what our goal point was. And so basically we can just view month by month, are we meeting our goals? And we can look back at previous months and we can see, did we meet our goal for that month? We can also get personal feedback about our water habits. So if you're using more water than normal in the morning, at night, or on weekends, Osiris or Poseidon will let you know about the issue. So in February, for example, we did meet our goal, but we're using less water than normal for that month, which is good. We could go back to January. Now in January, we're actually using more water than we normally do in the morning. So that's just something that lets you know, this is when you're using more water than normal, and that helps you modify your habits to conserve water and save money. In addition to setting goals and tracking your progress, you can go to the settings menu. Now, if we've got a Trident valve selected, or we've got a Trident paired with an Osiris or a Poseidon, we can shut off our water remotely. So we can shut off water to the house, and in 15 to 30 seconds, water will be turned off. Let's turn it back on, and again, 15 to 30 seconds, your water will be turned on again. And we say done. We can also call a plumber, and we can see a list of good recommended plumbers in our area that we can call quickly for help. Certainly you can use your own plumber. We can manage our contacts. Our suggested contacts are people, friends and family who have added us as contacts of their Osiris. They show up as suggested contacts for our Osiris. Let's say you do have someone that you don't want to deal with, though. You can block them. You can take the contact and move them over to blocked, and then click save, and they're blocked. At a later time, if you want to unblock them, simply pick them up and drag them over to unblocked, let them go, and now they're unblocked. And it'll put this in order for you. Okay, now we can move on to our actual contacts. These are our suggested contacts that we haven't blocked. These are our actual contacts, and then we can unassign contacts. So for example, let's say we want to delete Bill from our contacts. Put our finger on Bill, hold it down, and we've picked him up. Now we move him over to the delete contacts, let him go, and he's deleted. So Bill is no longer in our contacts. Now let's say at a later time, maybe much later, we would like to add Bill back to our contacts. Then we can pick him up from the suggested and move him over to our contacts. Now if we want to create a brand new contact from scratch, simply click create. Now we enter their name and email address, click save, and then they are in our contacts. And once we're happy with all the changes to this page, we click save. If we wanted to undo all the changes we've made, we would click back. So let's save. All right, and the contacts are saved. So let's go back to the settings menu. Now we can also manage our units. We can rename our units to something else. So for example, let's say we've got our cabin unit. Let's say we're moving it to somewhere else like our office. Then we can rename it, office unit. And now the cabin unit is renamed as the office. We can also set our default unit, and this is the unit that we view when we first start up the app. So by default, we are viewing 533, but let's say we want to view, maybe a different unit. like let's say 747, then we can make that our default unit. And now this is the unit that we'll view next time we start up the app. So we say done. We can also assign Tridents to units. So this is the Tridents that we own. You can assign Tridents to Osiris's and Poseidon's. That way when your Osiris or Poseidon detects a leak, Trident can shut off your water and prevent damage. Let's say we'd like to assign this Trident unit to one of our Osirises. We simply drag it over and drop it. And then Osiris is paired with Trident, and you can, when this Osiris gets a leak, Trident can shut off your water. Now let's say that we want to unassign the Trident from that Osiris. Then we simply move it all the way over to the right, past all our other units, and we drop it in the unassign, and now it's unassigned. Okay, now once we're happy assigning all of our Tridents to Osiris's and Poseidon's, we click Save, or you would click Back to undo all your changes. We can also assign our contacts, our friends and family, to our units. That way they can share our water data and get alarms. So let's say that we'd like to add Nick to Osiris 522. So we bring Nick over to 522, and we add him. Now, by default, Nick has emergency level access. If we want to change his level of access, pick him up and drop him. Now, let's say, for example, you've got a neighbor and you want to share water alarms with them so they can shut off your water for you, but you don't want to share your water use with them. Simply make them an emergency contact and they only see your alarms. Maybe you've got kids and you want to share your alarm and your water data with them. That way everybody can help to conserve as a family. Then you can make them a user. Now maybe your wife, your spouse, you'd like to give them full access. Now they can change settings on the unit as well. The only thing they can't do is add more contacts to the unit. Only you can do that, but they can do everything else. So this is great for a neighbor for alarms, a user, a kid for alarm and water data, or a wife or husband has full access to the unit. So, all right. So we've set our level of access, and again, different units you can assign different people as contacts. Based on who lives where. And once you're happy, sharing your data with friends and family, you just click Save. Okay, so we've assigned our contacts to our units. We can view another unit. Now, currently we are viewing 747, but we could, for example, view 522 instead, and then we'd be looking at 522's data. Now, let's go ahead and stay on 747 for this demo, but that's how you look at a different unit. Okay, now let's say we purchased a new Osiris, Trident, or Poseidon. We go to register a new unit. We look at the card that came with the unit, we enter the serial number and access code from the card, we click send, and then in a few seconds we've registered as the owner of the unit. And we would be redirected to the next page, which is connect unit to my home Wi-Fi. Now, we've got a whole separate video showing you how to do all this. It's very easy, it just takes a couple of minutes. But basically, you can come back to this as many times as you want. Anytime you change your Wi-Fi network, you move to a different home, whatever, you can always rerun this process. And we've got a whole separate video on how to do that. It's very easy. Okay, now the next one is if you have an Osiris 1, you'll see calibrate water flow. If you have an Osiris 2, a Trident, or a Poseidon, it calibrates automatically and you won't see this page at all. It's just the older Osiris ones, you calibrate your water flow. Okay, you can also view diagnostics. If you're having a problem with your unit, go to the diagnostics page, and then you'll see your data minute by minute all the way through since the beginning of today. Now you can see there's a brief period today where we had this unit unplugged, and so it wasn't reporting data, but other than that, it's been reporting in all day. If you had a unit that was not plugged in or not connected to the internet, this would be at 0 all day because there's no data. You can see the last time it contacted the server, when it calibrated, if calibration worked or not. Everything's fine with this unit, so you're good. This just helps you, diagnose any problems. The overwhelming majority of our users don't have any issues and won't even look at this page. Now, if you want to use Osiris with your preferred smart home, your Amazon home, your Google home, or maybe your Arduino or Raspberry Pi, then you'd go to Setup Cloud APIs. You would enter an email address that's different than the email you use to log into the app. You'd enter a password, and then you'd be set to use Osiris with your preferred smart home. That feature is coming in summer of 2019, and we'll have a whole separate video on how to set up Osiris with your smart home. It'll be very easy. But for now, all you need to know is you just need to enter an email address and password in Setup Cloud APIs, and then you're all set to do that. Okay, now the next one is to set the alarm settings. You can decide how many minutes of water flow you have before you get an alarm. You can decide how long to allow your pipe to be hot or cold before you get an alarm. You can decide how hot your pipe is before you get a hot pipe alarm, how cold your pipe is before you get a freezing pipe alarm. Now, if Osiris detects a water leak, you can have it automatically, notify your Trident to shut off your water and prevent damage to your home. So maybe, when Osiris gets a leak or Poseidon gets a leak, have it automatically notify Trident and shut off your water. By default, it doesn't do that, but you can choose to turn that on or not. It's up to you. You can also display the temperature in Fahrenheit or Celsius in the app. Now, Osiris displays water flow in minutes per hour, but if you've got a Poseidon water meter, then you can choose whether to display your water flow in gallons or liters. Now, you can also set a sensitivity level for Osiris. If you move it to the left, you make it more sensitive. If you move it to the right, you make it less sensitive. By default, the sensitivity is 130. For most of our users, that's fine. But if you find that there's like one faucet in your home that Osiris is not picking up, simply adjust the threshold down to like maybe 125 or 120, and that'll make it more sensitive and pick up that last faucet. Now, let's say you're at 130 and you're occasionally getting false alarms. Simply move the sensitivity up maybe to like 135 or 140, and then you'll stop getting false alarms. Now, again, for the overwhelming majority of users, the 130 is fine. So click Save. Okay, so we've set up the alarms. Now, let's say you've got a time when you're running your sprinklers every week when you don't want to get water alarms. You can set up to 4 exceptions for when you're not going to be getting water alarms. And each one has its own stop and start time, days of the week, and then you can turn it on or off. So currently on Sunday from 6 to 7 a.m., we are deep watering our tree, and we're not going to get water alarms. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're also running the sprinklers. Let's say we're also going to be doing some watering on Saturday. Let's show that. So we unclick the days. This is exception 3. And now we're clicking Saturday. We set the start time. Let's say it's going to be, 9 a.m. And the water flow is going to end at 10 a.m. Okay, so from 9 to 10 a.m. we're going to have water running. We turn that on. It's going to be on Saturday. And then you're not going to get water alarms during this period. So this is very useful so that your sprinklers don't accidentally set off your water alarms. Okay, now if you want to see if you've got the latest app, click About App, and you can see we've got App Rev 1.4, and you can compare that to the Google Play Store to see if you've got the latest app. Now, if you have any questions about any of this, click Watch Help Videos. You're taken to our YouTube channel, and then you can see helpful tutorial videos. You can also log out of the app. You can log in as a different user. You can register as a new user of the app. If you ever forget your password, now the app will store it for you, but if you ever forget it or you want to change it, you can type in your email address and click Email Password Reset Code. You'll get an email with a code to reset your password. Then you click Reset Your Password, type in your email, your new password, and your reset code, and you're all set to change your password. Anyways, you can see the Android app is very easy to use, and if you have any questions at all, please contact us. Thank you for listening.